Well, guys, hasn't it been a little while? What's up, everybody? This is Steve Turbo, and I know it's been a while, and I know that it's been several hiatuses and inconsistency on the channel and with the content, and believe me, nobody's more frustrated with that than me, but I want to take a moment to thank all of you who have stayed around, didn't hit that unsubscribe button despite the fact that there has been almost no content other than reaction videos. Thank you for any new subscribers who have found your way to the channel. But thank you very much, guys, for having patience with me. I will say that over the past couple months, there is definitely a good reason behind my absence, and that is mostly due to a lot of changes in life. So life, kind of goes at its own pace. It waits for nobody, and recently I had to move. I'm pretty sure I said in a previous video that that video was going to be the last video that I was recording in my old house. And believe me, it was very hard to say goodbye to that house. It was a big part of my life for the last 3 or 4 years. And a lot of good times were had, a lot of steps in life were taken. And it was very hard. It was very, very hard to say goodbye. James and I, of course, still friends, obviously. That part is never going to change. But we both moved into different houses. I'm actually living back with... Oh, wow. Great way to start the playthrough. I'm actually back with family. I'm back with my brother Jake, Mojo, who you guys who have been with the channel for a while may be familiar with. And that was kind of a step in life that I really needed to take, and it made me happy to do it. Also, where I live is very expensive. It's probably one of the most expensive cities in the entire United States to live in. It's crazy, and there's nothing really special about it. But yeah, I mean, that's part of it. Life definitely kind of threw me for a loop. When I was, I want to say it was right shortly after Persona 5 came out, my landlady came to me with the news that our house had sold and that we needed to take time to find a new place. Well, like I said, financially, that just really wasn't possible for me. I do work just a normal retail job during the day, and that doesn't provide a whole lot of money to even rent a small studio apartment around here. Even studio apartments around here are incredibly expensive. They're at least $900 for just a single room. I know, crazy, right? But then again, that may be similar to where you live too. So that played a big part in it. And of course, with moving, you have to get adjusted, and you have to kind of take a step back and slow down and, really kind of get comfortable with your new surroundings. So that was a big part of that too. I wanted to make sure that I got comfortable in my new place before I started creating content. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of part of the reason why I've been gone for so long, and, the inconsistency with the channel I plan on fixing here very soon. I actually wanted to take time during this video I want to kind of make this series with the Crash Bandicoot games a little bit about, what I think of all the more recent developments, E3 and, just the upcoming EVO tournament. I really, really would love to kind of touch on that for a little bit. So we'll move on to EVO here next, but I also want to say another big milestone in my life was I just turned 30. Oh man. Oh buddy, let me tell you, that is something. I am sorry, guys. I've actually been playing the Crash Bandicoot trilogy here over the weekend, and I am not this bad. I think it's just because, when you have to play and talk at the same time, your mind isn't 100% centered and focused on the game. So we'll try and focus here, but I just turned 30, and for those of you who haven't hit it or you're darn near close, turning 30 is kind of a big deal. Not in the way you'd expect it. It's just, it's a milestone birthday, and with that, I can tell you guys this, with turning 30, god damn it, I hate that part. With turning 30, I will say, I've conquered it. I've been 30 for a whole blessed week now, and that's not as bad as you think. I mean, really, it's not. I mean, it's just a birthday. Like, a lot of people place emphasis on it because, you know, you're supposed to have it all figured out, you're supposed to have a family, you're supposed to be married, blasey, all that societal norm crap. But me, really, I'm real comfortable in my own skin now. That's one thing I can say about turning 30 and what that does for you. Really makes you comfortable. Like, you really become comfortable with yourself, with who you are, where you're at. Golly day. That is unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the nice part. Like, I turned 30, and then right after it was done, I was like, yeah, I'm 30, and then I just kind of forgot about it. I was like, okay, I'm 30, neat. So yeah, that's enough about life stuff. Like, life stuff is life stuff. I mean, what are you gonna do? So let's go ahead and talk about E3, shall we? I didn't really get a chance to do any, like, reaction videos or anything like that because, unfortunately, I lost my webcam. And I was like, well, God, how am I supposed to do vlogs without a webcam? Like, that kind of sucked. So, I'm doing it vicariously through Crash Bandicoot. I just needed a game to actually play. And I'm also taking a bit of a break from Overwatch because I was playing a lot of competitive Overwatch while I was in the process of moving. And that, you know, Overwatch, if you know anything about Overwatch, man, it is it's a taxing game on your mind and soul. So I needed to take a little bit of a break from Overwatch. Probably will go back here soon because I am trying to get my gold gun. I am, you know, very close to my gold gun, so I would love to have that. But let's go ahead and talk about E3, shall we? E3 was very hot and cold for me, as I think it was for everybody. E3, like, it started off very slow. It started off very slow with EA and Bethesda. Nothing really kind of, like, blew my mind. Battlefront looked great, but it was, you know, one of those things that we already knew about. Bethesda was probably the most dreadful presentation I've seen in a while, and that is really saying something because I always try to look forward to the Bethesda conferences whenever they come around. But man, the presentation and the overall quality of content, like, all of that could have been announced via Facebook posts. There was nothing really attention-grabbing, and when you see Skyrim revealed for something for the umpteenth million time, like, you're just like, I don't care. Like, Skyrim, but that game's been out for 5 years now, and you can only wow me with it with so much. And, you know, it's like, oh, neat, Skyrim for the Switch, and Skyrim for VR, and you know, it's just, guys, nobody is that thrilled about Skyrim anymore. I mean, it's a great game, it's classic, and it always will be, but it's one of those games that it's definitely, the shine has definitely kind of worn off a little bit. And maybe that's just me. If you still enjoy Skyrim, that's awesome. And I'm not saying I don't, but the shine has definitely kind of worn off. And it's... Whoa! Microsoft had a good showing, but I'm not going to say that it was the best they could have done. Like, it was a lot of games that really weren't exclusives. They just had the first look at the games. Dragon Ball FighterZ was revealed at that point, and I, like, lost my goddamn mind, and I really wish I could have gotten that on video, but I was at work, and where I work, I'm not supposed to have any kind of, like, camera or phone or anything, but we were allowed to watch the press conference, which was cool. So, you know, I really wish I could have gotten my reaction, because my coworkers got a kick out of it, too. We were all watching the conference, and I just lost my mind when I saw Dragon Ball FighterZ in real time. It was just glorious. Like, it is everything that a Dragon Ball Z and hardcore fighting game fan have been waiting for. Like, that much I can promise you. Like, that game, like... And the crazy part is, I didn't think I was going to, like, lose my mind as much as I was going to, because I already knew about Dragon Ball FighterZ beforehand. But, I mean, I couldn't contain it. Like, I knew about it. I knew it was coming. I knew I was going to see stuff about it. But I still just couldn't help but squeal like a schoolgirl. It was fantastic. I loved it. But yeah, like, Dragon Ball FighterZ is going to be incredible. And I promise this time, like, for real, we are going to have a ton of content on the channel for Dragon Ball FighterZ. I can't contain my joy on that one. Sony, before we get into Sony, I do want to touch on the Xbox One X, which I think is the most redundant name in the world. Some people think it's clever, I think it's redundant, and I also think it's going to be a nightmare for parents and grandparents whose kids are going to be asking for this thing during the holiday season. I really think that's going to be just a complete, utter nightmare for them while they are doing their holiday shopping. The hardware is nice. I mean, for a console player who really doesn't want to invest that much money into like a gaming PC, like if they'd be content with just having a home console that can project 4K games, 4K games, 4K games as well. I mean, hey, it's 2017. We're progressive. No, but I mean, honestly, like, the hardware's fine, but I really didn't think that the presentation of it was all that great. I definitely think there was a lot that could have been done better with it. But moving on to Sony, guys, I mean, honestly, Sony had an okay showing. I wouldn't say it was anything to write home about either. I would put it right on par with Microsoft. The thing is, again, telling us about games we already know about, and you can only get so excited for games you already know about. We got another look at that new Uncharted game, which they're selling for $40, which tells me that it is not going to be the most robust game. I mean, myself personally, I like the Uncharted games, but I'm not... Daniel over at Game Night is definitely a lot more enthused about, Uncharted games than me. So if you want more, like, of a fan's perspective on the Uncharted games, then I definitely suggest you go check out his channel. But, Uncharted, I was like, great, neat, cool, but don't really care. I forget the new zombie biker game. I'm about zombied out on just about every aspect of entertainment. I really could give a crap less about any kind of zombie game at all, and that includes The Last of Us 2. And I know Last of Us 2 is definitely more of... The Last of Us is definitely more than just your standard zombie game, but at the same time, it's just the overall arcing theme of a dystopian zombie-infested future. I can only play so many games that are cut from that cloth, before I'm just like, I don't care anymore about this genre, and I'm having a hard time caring about anything having to do with it. So I really couldn't get excited about that. God of War looks fantastic. I like that they're giving Kratos more character. I like that he is still very much him. He's still the destroyer we always knew he could be. But I definitely am. I am looking forward to that game. I will say that I think what really kind of turns me off a lot about modern gaming is the overall cinematic nature of it all. And I think that there's just so much more to games than just, quick time events along with these big cinematic expositions. I think that, a lot of that takes away from the player. And while some would say that, it makes the player more involved with the experience when the whole game is just cinematic, I don't think it's that inclusive. And I think that's something that a lot of modern games, modern AAA games, kind of lose touch with. Like, they're presenting these big cinematic masterpieces, but at the same time, is that really a game? Or are we playing an interactive movie? And I guess if that's your thing, then great, enjoy the experience. But I remember similar experiences through Heavy Rain and other games like that, which were just that by description. But it feels like a lot of modern games are sort of taking that route. But Sony, honestly, one big thing, and this is me as a fighting game fan, I got to see a lot of characters confirmed for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. This is going to be a part of the next video of this series. But you know what? No, let's go ahead. Let's roll with it. If y'all are willing to roll with it, roll with me. So, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. So, hot off the heels of the announcement of Dragon Ball FighterZ and everybody was completely blown away by it, we got our big look at the cinematic story mode for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and it looked not so great. So, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, the facial animations and textures on the Capcom characters looked rough, man. It looked really rough. And that broke my heart, and it broke a lot of the hearts around the FGC, because, whether we like to admit it or not, no one really wants to ever see a bad Marvel game or a Marvel game that flops, because there's such an unlikely chance that we'll ever get another one with the way that Marvel and their rights are owned nowadays by Disney. And, you know, this game is becoming marred in controversy because it has a very small roster from the get-go, and it's not really chock full of big fan favorite nostalgic characters. It's really a lot of the characters that were from Marvel 3, and the other big problem is no X-Men. You know, no X-Men, no Doctor Doom, no Magneto, no Storm, no Sentinel, no Wolverine, no a lot of the characters that really made Marvel are not present. Even Akuma is not there. That is just so unfathomable, because those characters, for the most part, have been a part of the Marvel vs. Capcom lineage for as long as the game has been in, you know, even going as far back as Children of the Atom. Those characters have all been there for the most part in some way, shape, or form, with the exception of like Doctor Doom, because he's a Fantastic Four character. But it sucked seeing such a tiny roster with neat characters, but not exactly what everyone was hoping for. You know, a lot of people were hoping to see like Jin Saotome or Edward Falcon or Zura. You know, a lot of people were hoping to see Leon Kennedy versus Chris. It feels like the roster is so uncreative and so lacking in so many ways, and that really is a certified hype killer. Now, I have heard from people who have actually gotten to experience the game beyond the story mode demo that was made available. I have heard that the game controls fine, you know, and I thought so too while playing the story mode, but it's very hard to get a grasp on like core mechanics and, you know, how certain characters play when all you're playing against are jobber bots in the story mode. You know, they die very quickly, so you can't really kind of experiment with any tech. But the character models for a lot of the Capcom side are ugly. Like, they are ugly, ugly. Like, Chun, her face looks wretched, and Dante, well, let's not mince words. The guy looks like he came off of a real bad string of heroin addiction. Dante looks rough, man. And I do got to admit, a lot of those parts of the story with Capcom and Marvel is kind of cringy. It feels like a badly written fan fiction, and that's just... I've always been one to say that a cinematic story mode is nice and all that for a fighting game, but I don't think it is 100% necessary. I think it's a great bit of single-player content, but if it's not going to be presented well, then what's the point of even having it? You know, Tekken 7 kind of suffered from this as well. I'm not going to say Tekken 7's story mode was bad, but it was kind of all over the place, albeit the ending was good, I thought. But Marvel Infinite is kind of cringy, especially the part with Rocket and Dante. I don't know why that just... I watched that and I was like, this isn't cool. This is cringy. This is just... So I really didn't enjoy it. I hate to say it, but I really didn't enjoy it, and it really was kind of like butchering a lot of my hype for the game. And then you see like Black Panther in the story mode trailer, and you're kind of hyped because you think, oh man, he's going to be part of the roster, and he is, but as DLC. And that is where Capcom's biggest problem is, and this is also a big problem with a lot of fighting games, you know. Their rosters are great, but they rely a lot on DLC additions to kind of keep you hype about the game's life expectancy. But with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, it feels like, you know, they're taking really interesting characters like Sigma and Black Panther and saving them for DLC, and the game isn't even released yet. And with the game looking as unpolished as it is, it's very evident that this game was meant to be pushed out quick. And that sucks, man. That, like, nobody likes to see this. Like, nobody is thrilled about this. Nobody wants a Marvel game that is rushed or ham-fisted or made with the strict purpose of having the Marvel side look better, like the Marvel characters look better artistically than the Capcom characters, just because the Marvel Cinematic Universe is, you know, such a big thing right now. That's my thing, man. It sucks because there's so much potential and there was so much hype for this game. Now, I don't doubt that the player base will take it and they'll make it exciting to watch, but for the people at home, you gotta really give them a reason to buy this game, and right now there isn't a lot. And what's worse is the devs aren't really making things better. You know, they're Combo Fiend went on record to say that, you know, characters, it's not so much about the characters, but the function that they perform. Stating that, you know, characters like Magneto are popular because they have an 8-way dash, and that's not exactly true. People love Magneto the character because he's Magneto. People love Wolverine because he's Wolverine. It's one part's function, but it's another part people like the character. And right now, this game is just becoming such a obvious money grab that it's really getting hard for people to be excited about it, and that sucks. You know, nobody wants that for a Marvel vs. Capcom game. You know, we all wanted a game that was rich with single player content, but also giving people plenty of cool characters and stuff to sink their teeth into competitively. So we don't know if it's going to give exactly that right now, and that's the part that makes people so uncertain. And I think ultimately Capcom's choices in both roster and overall delivery are going to really hurt the sales of this game. And unfortunately, what comes with that is not, oh, we'll do it better next time, but we'll actually, like, just not do it at all. And that's what sucks. And the only thing that you can really do, and I try to tell people this, the only thing that you as a fan can do to help is, one, speak with your wallet. Invest in games that are doing presentation the right way. Invest in games that have a beautiful, amazing art direction. Like Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2. That is really well presented. Despite the fact that, you know, Arc Systems releases 3 or 4 iterations of the same game, Guilty Gear does a lot of things right, and it's a beautiful game. Same with Tekken 7. Tekken 7's combat is marvelous, in my opinion. Injustice 2, I will admit I tapered off of Injustice 2 faster than any fighting game I think I've played in recent memory. And that sucks because it is a good game, but it's just NetherRealm's games don't really hold me for very long. And I really couldn't say why. But with Marvel, I hope for the best. I hope things get better before launch. And honestly, guys, at this point, I'm really hoping for a delay. I think a delay at this point would quite possibly be the best thing that could happen for Marvel, Marvel Infinite. Maybe take a step back, add a couple characters, work on the presentation of the characters, fix Chun-Li and Dante's faces because they just look awful. Fix a lot about the presentation of the game because that is not going to convince people to buy it. Not only that, you know, random candid videos of pros playing it and saying, oh, I would totally play this game over Dragon Ball. You know, it was just the most obvious thing in the world, and it just felt so corporate that people just cringed. People just cringed, and that's the best way to say it. You know, I get it. You know, if Justin Wong, F Champ, and a lot of the guys like the game, that's awesome. You know, I hope it's a good game, but at the same time, saying I would much rather play this over Dragon Ball just sounds like, hey, say this line. And that to me, man, just no. That's just not the way to go about it. Because they knew that Dragon Ball was, you know, drawing a lot of hype. It's a lot like WWE not wanting like Ring of Honor or TNA mentioned on their broadcast. You know, it's one of those things that they want their product to be the product. They want it to be the only product. But yeah, I mean, it's hard. I'm not going to say that I'm definitely going to buy Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite when it comes out because I'm a fighting game aficionado. That's what I try to center this channel around, other than just your casual games and whatnot. And they are my first love when it comes to video games. I really hope for a bright future with Marvel Infinite, but with Capcom and their greedy corporate mindset, I just don't know how well that is going to happen. But we'll see. And I'm really messing up, so I think this is a good time to end the video, guys. Thank you for all of you who have been extremely patient with me throughout this entire hiatus, and I promise, and I know I promise every time, but we will be returning with consistent content here soon. I'm going to be buying a brand new webcam here soon, so that way I can get back to doing vlogs. And yeah, we're just going to try and have way more content on the channel. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to us down on the subscribe button below. You know what to do. It's YouTube. You know how that works now. And we will see you all next time. Thank you.